Hello everyone, welcome back. And today I'm going to show you all about Python environments. How do we create a new Python environment every time we have a new project? Well, we want to do that because we want to avoid errors and all kinds of issues down the road. So let's start.
If you go to my GitHub page, Snake Charmer Data, I have a couple of repositories. One is called Python Environments. No worries, I'm going to have the link in the YouTube channel. In the Python environments, you're going to have one file, which is Python environments, and this one will be just an overview of the three different types of environments. We will not be using global, we'll just be using mostly the virtual environment, which is the local virtual environment, and the Conda, which is an environment within the Conda system. However, it will show within the uh, within our IDE, the Visual Studio IDE. There is some additional information when to use virtual versus Conda. So there's some advantages and disadvantages for each one. And my preferred one, by the way, is the local virtual environment. And then we have the setting up the virtual environment. So it's very simple. All we do is we create it in the terminal. Here is an example of a project called Crossword Puzzle. So we create it in the terminal and then we activate it using the this command line. So just basically two lines that we add to the terminal's command line. It would be the same process for Conda, pretty straightforward. I'll show you how to do it using the virtual one. So, by the way, for Conda, you would need to download it. So you would go to, ideally, you should go to Mini Conda because that's really a better way uh, to go about our projects. It will serve us better for the projects that I'll show you. So just type Miniconda in your search engine and then just simply go to the download. I've already registered. I recommend it. I'll skip it for this once. And the first thing you'll have is download now as the generic Conda installers. But if you scroll down, you'll have the mini Conda installers. And depending on which system you use, I happen to use the M1 processor, which is Apple's in-house processor. And the command line installer is also included within the graphical installer. So I would just choose the graphical installer, download it to my system, and just go through the installation process. Now let's go to the VS IDE. And in the VS IDE, what I'll do is I will create a Python file. Now, one thing that I do want to bring to your attention is that when you create a folder, that folder becomes your project name. So when you create a folder on the desktop, whatever you name it, it will be your project name. What I'll do is create a new file. We'll leave it as untitled one, and I'm going to save that in my project one folder. Now that we have that, I will open a new terminal. Here we go. So this is our base terminal. Now remember that it's called project one. So just to bring you back to our process, instead of crossword puzzle, I named it project one. So basically, I just replaced the project name. So what we will do is copy the first line, insert it in the terminal. By the way, let me just make this a bit bigger. Going to increase the font size in the terminal, and let me just increase the font size in the editor. All right, so let's paste it. Let's run it. And now, as you could see, it says if we want to select this as the default. So yes, we want to set this up as our default environment because we're working in this right now. And you could see it that it's appeared on the left-hand side under the virtual environment. So we have, it's called project one. There it is. What we've just done when we clicked on initializing it, the pop-up that you just saw, that is basically the second step. So you won't need to do the second step. However, if you don't see a pop-up, then just go ahead and just enter the activation code in the terminal. So basically, it is usually the activation code. In my case, it's the Mac OS off option. However, VS is pretty smart, so it knows that you want to create that, and that's why we got the pop-up. So we see that it is present, and now what we want to do is watch this. Look at the terminal. We are under base. What I want to do is I want to open the virtual environment in the terminal. So here we go. So we have project one is now part of our terminal. So now you could see the packages here. Basically, recall that packages equals libraries. I prefer to call it libraries. And we don't really have any packages installed yet. And this is a good sign because for every new project, we want to install new libraries. Now let me open my NLP system. So basically the Gen AI. Here I'm set under it. The system is called Kodo. That's the one I'm testing right now. And it is connected to Claude. There's a few other options that we can go through. I prefer Claude. Claude is my favorite. It is pretty powerful. I will test others down the road. But let's see, what can we create? Let's create Python, a Python script, I want to interface, so graphical user interface for a mortgage. Calculator. It's generating the code. So remember that we will need to, for the libraries, we will need to import the libraries again. We don't need to import tkinter. Tkinter, by the way, just to recall, is the graphical user interface library. And it looks like math is also included in it. Otherwise, it would be underlined with it would have like a wavy underline, basically advising you that it's not installed. So maybe this is not the best example here, but just to let you know that you would need to, uh, if you see a wavy underline, you would just do a pip install and TK is short for Tkinter, and that's what is used in installing Tkinter. Um, but in this case, it's already satisfied. So here we go. It's already successfully installed. That's pretty much it. That is how you set up new environments. And for Conda, it is the same straightforward process. Do have a look and see under my GitHub space, check the Python environments, and have a quick read. I do recommend that you also read when to use virtual versus Conda and all about the Python environments. It'll give you some added information. Well, I do hope that you liked this episode, and I hope to see you again. Bye for now.